Good morning, good morning, good morning. Give me a little wave, give me a thumbs up, give me a little shout if you're in a quiet place. Good morning, happy Wednesday to you.
Woo!
I know we are on little. Arizona is weird. We don't change times. So for those of you guys that know, or you don't know, we don't have a daylight savings. So what or a daylight not savings? I don't know what the opposite of daylight savings is, but so half the year we are on Pacific time, and half the year we are on Mountain time, which is really obnoxious when you are trying to create a schedule and a calendar of consistent events from all over the world. Which is always fun. But in any event, forgive us as we make a few different adjustments because everyone's like, wait a minute, so it's Arizona time. So it's at this time. No. Arizona's not on that time anymore. It's on this time. So people kind of lose their minds when they try to figure out how we do some scheduling. So bear with us as we get all of our normally scheduled things done here properly from your leadership. As we go into it. So a couple of updates here as to where we're at. So first of all is Club Seacret. So a couple different updates for you guys. So Club Seacret is you are going to see this coming Tuesday. For those of you guys that are in the States, where there is a field-driven event, a leadership-driven event that's in Vegas. There's going to be a couple thousand people out there, which is going to be pretty fun. This is a social event, also a training event. If you are going to be in Vegas, please hit me up so that way we can get a chance to connect and we can get a chance to meet up either at the event, during the event, around the event, or all of the above. On Tuesday, you're going to be seeing some enhancements as we head into the kind of the next phase of Club Seacret that you're going to be seeing launched at Elevate. Elevate is going to be the place to not only be, but some of the enhancements and the announcements that are going to be coming throughout the event. So when obviously we've got this bad boy, how many guys are excited about this, right? So if you're not excited, then you buy this and then you take this and then you get excited. It just makes sense. But on the event on Tuesday here in Las Vegas, we're going to be having some announcements and some upgrades. One of the things that I'd highly recommend is look at the beebs. So that was my YouTube video. So when you log into your back office here, and I'm going to pop this up. If you haven't done this already, one of the things to start playing with so you guys can understand. So is one of the oh no, members only join now. Did they take it out? What happened? Oh no. I guess I can't show you guys. But I paid for it. All right, anyway, so when you have your members account and you have your members account with Club Seacret is to go in and look at the bookings. A lot of people didn't know that the hotels are something that is available from all over the world. So they can be anywhere. So do a little bit of research, especially for those of you guys that are in Canada. So is go take a look at where are some of the hotels in your local city or in major cities. I know in Canada, one of the things we were looking at is, okay, Vancouver Island. We're looking at Banff. We're looking at places that people have gone or may want to go and looking at some of the discounts and looking at that. So it's one of those things. However, the most important, I think, aspect of this program is going to be these secret escapes, these specially curated trips, which you're going to be seeing coming up here at the convention as we start opening up Club Seacret for customers and being able to take advantage of that. So I want to make sure you guys are on page with that and taking a look at that. But what I want to do is go in here a little business and talk a little bit more about kind of the experiences that we go through in building out our business. So there are different phases as we're going in the business. Now, some of you guys are brand new to Seacret. Some of you guys have been in this for 6 months. Some of you guys have been in this for a year. And so there's always these different conversations that are happening. And one of the things I've noticed is that almost everybody always wants to be further than they really are at all points in time. Like, just out of curiosity, how many of you guys want to be further in your business than you are right now? Isn't that weird? Everybody, which means you're going to have to deal with the level of frustration for the rest of your career. You're going to be frustrated pretty much at all times. So the question is how do we figure out how to use a little bit of that frustration, or how do we use it as focus or directed focus as we're going out there and building the business? And so there was a few different things, and I want to just kind of draw this up here when it comes to some of the events and some of the pieces that I think are important. Okay. So when it comes to the events and event structure is I want you to pretend for a quick second, all right, that all of this represents all knowledge in the entire world. Like every piece of knowledge in the entire world that's ever existed. What percentage of this knowledge do we really know? Like maybe that much. So if we were being overly generous, let's say that these were the things that we knew. But these are the things that we know. But these are things that we know that we know. Like what's something that you know that you know? Oh, your name, 2 + 2, right? So I know where I live. I know how to drive a car, things like that. I know to speak English. These are things that we know. Then there's another group of things that we don't know. Okay. Now, this percentage of things that we don't know, but these are things that we know that we don't know. Like what's something that you know you don't know? Like I don't know how to do calculus, right? I don't know how to speak Japanese. I don't know how to fly a plane, right? So these are things that we don't know. Now, it's usually pretty simple to get something from not knowing to knowing, not knowing to knowing. And how we're going to do that is one of the most important things, which is spaced repetition. Okay. Spaced repetition. Spaced repetition is the mother of all skill. Okay. So what we're doing is we want to be developing skills. So one of the things that I learned from my dance background is how you do anything is you just do it again and again and again and again and again and again until you get competent at it. Right. So, and this kind of process of going into spaced repetition, I want to really put this in because a lot of people don't really, I don't think they take this as seriously as I've taken it over the years, a lot of the times, because most of us are stuck in this learned knowledge approach that we think if we hear things that we're actually doing them, we're being successful. So a good example here is this. Today on this call, we're not doing anything in secret. You guys are listening to things about secret. We're not doing secret. Doing secret is where you're going to go out there and you're going to attempt, right? You're going to, and the spaced repetition of inviting, prospecting, presenting, sharing this information, right? So these are things that we don't know, okay? And we're going to take them over here through spaced repetition. So I'm going to practice, practice, practice. I can learn Japanese. I'm going to practice, practice, practice. I can learn calculus. I'm going to practice, practice, practice through usually many failed attempts. But over a period of time, I can usually transfer something from not knowing it into knowing it. However, there's this giant center over here of things that you don't know that you don't know. Now, what's something you don't know you don't know? I don't know. Right? We don't know. We don't know. And this is where, okay, the biggest portion of growth inside of your business is going to come from. The things that you don't even know. People say, well, why do you always show up to those trainings? I don't show up for the things that I know that I don't know. I show up to every training for the things I didn't even know that I needed to know. That's why I started going to the conventions. I would never miss because somebody would say something. I was like, holy shnikes. I didn't even know that I needed to know that. I didn't even know that there was something that was a brand new information, or a lot of times what they call a blind spot, where I wasn't even paying attention to it because I couldn't see it until somebody kind of brought it into light. And I was like, holy cow, I have been messing that up 7 ways to Sunday, right? So there are these new ideas that we're going to start having in these comfort zones, but I want to hit on this one right here, okay? Big time. When we're coming about spaced repetition of how we're going to learn something, because how we learn in the frustration of this event, because is this business emotional? Okay. So how do I know that? Because every day I am talking to leaders about how emotional this business is, the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, the frustration. I want to be further. This should be happening here. These people did this. Can you believe what she did? This is what this guy is doing. I can't even deal anymore. Right. So I can't deal. And all that is just getting stuck inside of those pieces. So when we look at the business, is this spaced repetition is the mother of all skill. Spaced repetition is the mother of all skill. Spaced, I'm saying it a lot for a particular reason, by the way. Why? Spaced repetition. Because I want you guys to hear it and remember it consistently, of thinking about where the areas in my life where I'm not going to focus on results. I'm going to focus on getting better. So what am I going to be focusing on getting better at? So there are certain skills inside of our business. If spaced repetition is the mother of all skill, and I want to move through these phases, okay, of growing. So there are really 4 phases of consciousness, which some of you guys have heard. I'm going to go over it real quick, okay? Where you have unconscious. How do you spell unconscious? Unconscious. Is that unconscious? Is that spelled right? No. Yes. No. Nobody knows. All right, fine. Unconscious. Incom incompetent? How do you spell incompetent? Incompetent. I should learn how to spell. That should probably be a sort of incompetent, incompetent, intent, incompetent, competent. You guys know what I'm writing. All right. So, all right. Unconscious incompetence. This is where everything starts. This is really phase one of everything, where we just don't even know what we don't even know. This is like that phase we talked about. We don't even know it. Excuse me. You're unconsciously incompetent. Then all of a sudden, what's going to happen is you're going to become consciously competent. Competent? Somebody write it in the chat box, for God's sakes. All right. So, unconscious, I think. I'm not a great speller either. Great. How are we doing this? Okay. We're going to get through this together, guys. Don't worry. It's going to be work. It's going to make sense. So you become unconsciously incompetent. I'm sorry, consciously incompetent. This is now where you are aware. You're aware of how much you don't know. You just don't know. You're incompetent. Meaning, and I'll give you kind of the number 3. The step phase is where you become consciously competent. Just write those out because we haven't figured out how to spell them yet as a collective group. And then the last one is where you become unconsciously competent. So first you're unconscious incompetent. You don't even know what you don't even know. The next phase is where you become consciously incompetent. You now know you don't know what you're doing. And in this stage, this is where you're going to find yourself in the learning phase. This, you're going to find a lot of frustration. You're like, oh my God, I don't know all this stuff. And there's this feeling of being incompetent, but knowing that you're incompetent. And then how you're going to break this threshold, okay? This threshold from moving from here to here is doing it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. And what we want to be doing is doing it again and again and again and again. So then we can eventually move it to here. So how do we move from conscious competence, where we're going to be doing something again and again and again and again, and we're going to do it again and again and again, and then again and again, is through this spaced repetition. Spaced repetition really being the mother of all skill. So what are the skills that we're going to be learning in our business that we're going to be doing again and again? So through this process, what I want you guys to move through is I want you to think about this. So these steps just kind of give you conscious, unconscious, all this other stuff. Think about it kind of like driving a car, right? So in the beginning, when you were a baby, you didn't know what cars were. You just knew somehow you got from here, you got to there. Then eventually, as you get as a toddler, you kind of notice I'm getting in something. There's a consciousness behind it. Now, as you're growing up, as more of a toddler, you start to get into 6, 7, 8. You start understanding the car. You go, okay, my parents put me in this car, and we're going somewhere, and we are driving a car. I'm incompetent at driving the car, but I'm conscious of that a car is being driven. And then what I'm going to go through is the phases of learning to drive a car, learning to be competent at driving the car. You guys remember driving in the beginning when you were like, wait, is the left blinker up or is it down? Right. And if you had to learn on a stick shift, you guys remember learning on a stick shift? Did anybody have to learn on a manual? Right. And you're like first gear and then the clutch, and it takes all of your focus and concentration. Right. So, and when you're remembering, especially like if you're in a clutch and like all of a sudden you're on a hill and you have a stoplight on a hill. I remember being in San Francisco and being on a stoplight at a hill, and a guy pulled up right behind me and I'm like sweating. I'm like, oh God, this might not go good. Right. Because there's that level of like, I don't know what I'm doing yet. And then over a period of time, now that you've been driving and driving and driving and driving for your years, now what are you doing? You're driving down the road, you're texting, you're doing your makeup, and you're eating a sandwich and yelling at your kids all while you're kneeing down the road, right? So now John is like, no, do not do this. This is true. Bad idea. So, but all of a sudden we're doing it. Here's another way to think about it. How many of you guys have been driving home and then just randomly you kind of just went off into space and you got into your parking lot or your garage and you were like, how did I get here? Right? Worse than that. How many of you guys have been driving home and you're like, I need to go run an errand and go to the grocery store, and then you wound up at home? And you're like, I was supposed to go to the grocery store. What was driving you? And what happens is it's our unconscious habits, our unconscious patterns that will take us down a road that we're used to or familiar with if we're not paying attention to it. So what we want to do is really move ourselves into this level of it. And how we're going to do it is I want you to think about there are different types of people that are on their path to achievement. So Tom, take this down in your notes. All right. So there are different types of paths onto the way to the achievement. So let's say this is where you are and this is where you want to go. This is where you are, this is where you want to go. So what generally happens is our learning curve in the very beginning of our business is explosive. For those of you that are new, it's usually pretty exciting because you're learning all new things. I'm learning about our products. I'm learning about alkaline nutrition. I'm learning about how our back office works. I'm learning how to sign people up. I'm getting on these trainings. I'm learning new techniques. I'm learning attraction marketing. There's all this excitement. And then eventually what's going to happen is you're going to hit a plateau. And who's going to hit a plateau? Everybody. Right? So what happens when you hit your first plateau is usually determined on how quickly or how long or how frustrating success or this path is going to be for you. So when people hit this first plateau, there's the first type of person, which we call the dabbler. Okay. Dabbler. And the dabbler, what they do is they hit this plateau and they go, oh man, it's just not as easy as it was before. It's not as fun as it was before. I mean, it seemed in the beginning like things were just so, and then I don't know, I don't know, I just kind of feel stuck, and I don't know, I just don't have the same excitement that I do for it. So what do? They quit. And what do? They go look for something else, and they get through that same learning curve again. It's another, oh my God, these new people and these new products and this new upline or this new training or this thing I've never heard before. And the explosiveness of the growth is interesting. And then they're going to hit a plateau again. And then all of a sudden, what do? They quit. And then they start this process over and over and over and over. And they just keep doing this until they hit their plateaus. This is like the person who starts playing tennis. They start playing tennis and they're excited about it. It's a new thing for them. And then they hit a plateau where they don't seem to be getting nearly as good anymore as they did in their very beginning. They hit this little, this plateau in their business. And so instead of learning how to get through this plateau, what they do is they take up, racquetball. Like racquetball. This is fun, right? This is simpler, easier. It's different. You can hit it off the walls. But then the same thing happens where people are eventually, now what we're trying to do is get on the path to mastery. Okay. So there's the dabbler. That's one. The second person here, how many pieces of paper do I have? Not enough. That's all right. We'll use the back of these. Okay. So the second type of person is the stressor. Okay. Now the stressor, this is the stressor. The stressor gets here. And all of a sudden they go up here and then they hit a plateau. Same thing. They all hit plateaus. We all hit plateaus. They hit this plateau. But do they quit? No. You know what they do? They got to power through it. So they got to go, I'm going to figure this thing out. I'm going to make this thing happen. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to the top of the company. I don't really care what I'm going to, breakthrough. I went bronze. Bronze is so good. I love bronze. All right. And then all of a sudden, they're trucking along, and then eventually, what happens? They hit another plateau. But do they quit? No. But they stress. Oh my God, I'm going to figure this thing out. I got to figure out how to make it to the top. I got to go to the top. I got to figure this out. What are these people? I don't breakthrough. And then finally, by the time they get to their goal, they don't want to do it anymore, and it's not fun because they're like, this is exhausting. Yeah. So this is another way. Now, I know we have no stressors here on the line. None of you are stressors. I can't imagine any of you here would be in this category, right? So, but actually, you're pretty easy to identify because you stress me out all the time. You guys just stress me out consistently. But that is not what we are looking to do. We want to do something totally different. Now, what's the difference that we want to do? Let's see. Oh my God, look at all these. Look at all these trainings I do all day long. Look at it, just papers. Okay. So I gotta hang on a sec. I want to see if I have a new one. I don't. These are all whatever. We're using the there. That's how you go bronze, everybody. Okay, we're gonna use this one. So I don't have any blank sheets. The other one, okay, is a little bit more stable. You're going to go up, you're going to hit a plateau. Now, on this plateau, There's the path to mastery. What is it? The path to mastery is very simple. So on, plateau, to be expected. Right? We're not going to quit. We're not going to stress ourselves out. What are we going to do? It's very important to understand that during this period of time, how do we get to the next level? And getting to the next level or getting to the next plateau, because you're going to find a plateau at another level. And it might be, look, I got stuck at bronze, right? All right. So I might be, stuck at Royale, right? Or whatever it is. Or I might feel, look, I'm stuck. I'm going back and forth between these businesses. And what we need to do is very simple. Is the whole point is to find a mentor or slash coach. This is what I've always done is find somebody who has been through this plateau, who has kind of been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and find out what are the skills, okay, that they focused on to be able to break through to get to their next plateau. Now, any time of this, now in order to skills is that spaced repetition. Okay, spaced repetition. I'm going to come back to this in a quick minute, but why this is so important? Because as we get stuck into here, okay, what we're looking for is what are the skills that we need to practice to get to here, or what are the things that we don't even know that are going to get us there. And a lot of times it's these people going, look, there's stuff you're looking at, they're not paying attention to. There's stuff that you're not monitoring, right? So what we want to do is look at what are the skills, and what then here are two skills: inviting, presenting, closing, promoting. I said 2, and then I wrote down 4. Okay. So inviting, presenting, closing, promoting. In the beginning, what's the most important skill you need to learn? Inviting. This is usually the first plateau. The second plateau for a lot of people is going to be presenting. Now, once you're presenting a lot, the third skill is going to be learning closing. Now, closing is actually much easier than it sounds, because closing is just asking a question. And then what you'll notice is that the better you get at inviting, the better you get at presenting, the easier closing becomes. Okay. And then the last is promoting. Promoting the next piece, promoting the next event, promoting the next training, promoting the next video, promoting the next call, promoting the next convention. Getting people through the process of moving forward. Okay. So through this spaced repetition is what we're looking for is something that we can practice again and again and again, where all of a sudden we can see ourselves get to this next plateau. Now, how many plateaus are you going to experience in your business? I don't know. The question isn't whether or not you're going to experience the plateau. The question is what are you going to do when you get there? And how are you going to respond? Are you going to just kind of throw in the towel and go, you know what, this was too difficult, I'm going to go try to find something that's easier, or something that gives me that same level of growth? Am I just going to stress the heck out of myself to where everybody around me doesn't want to join me because I look like I am a basket case? Right? So I'm not attracting anyone into my stress basket of building my business. Or am I going to look at it like mastery? So spaced repetition, and what this really looks like, if you think about it, is when you hear something again and again, more importantly, that you get a chance to repeat it. So I want you to think about this for a quick second, because I want you to kind of just repeat after me. If you're in a place that you can sing along here a little bit, I want you to see if you remember any of this stuff. See if you can follow along with me. Are you guys ready? So there's a story of a
lovely lady.
Isn't that weird?
Yes.
When was the last time you heard that? Right? So, but it is so unconsciously competent, stuck in our brain, right? So there's songs. Now, if you grew up in my generation, I was a basketball fiend. So it was off the bleachers, off the backboard, off the wall, nothing but net. Right? So that hasn't been on in a long time, right? So now, how many of you guys remember this one? My baloney has a first name. It's O-S-C-E-R. My baloney has a second name.
It's M-E-Y-E-R.
Isn't that weird? Some of you guys are like, what are you talking about? I've never heard this before in my life. Now, if you grew up watching television commercials, it was the only way, because you guys can tell I can't spell. It was the only way I knew how to spell baloney growing up. Because Oscar Mayer has a way with
B-O-L-O-G-N-A.
Yep. So if you are like, what is wrong with these people? Okay. That hasn't been on in 25 years. maybe longer. So how crazy is it that stupid jingles will get in our head? And even if it's been a decade, 2 decades, you can pull it up immediately at any moment in time. I want you to be that unconsciously competent at your business. But that's going to take time and repetition. People say, you're hearing the same thing over and over, hearing the same thing over and over, hearing the same thing over and over. You're darn right. If you weren't getting the same information over and over and over, there'd be no way to get really good at it. So when people say, oh, it's the same training, I was like, yes, it's the same information. If our business completely changed what we did every year, it'd be impossible for all of us to get better at it and to grow at it. Okay. So the same thing next year. What are we going to do? Inviting, presenting, closing, promoting. Those are the things we're going to be doing next year, in 5 years from now, in 10 years from now. 20 years ago or 19 years ago, when I started this business, okay, these were the skills that I was learning, and I was terrible at them. All of them. There was not one of them that I was good at. The only one that I was probably good at was showing up. I was good at showing up. I would show up, I'd sit in the front row, and I'd take notes. And I would learn from these people that had spent decades of their life getting good at these things. And a lot of them in awe and of what they were able to accomplish in their life. They almost seemed like superhuman. And I remember people getting promoted and and a lot of them getting promoted much faster than me. And in the beginning, I used to be excited about the story. So I was like, oh my God, look at this story. Congratulations. Then after a while, they used to piss me off. I'm like, good for you. I wasn't mad at them. I was just mad because I wanted it to happen for me faster. Right. And part of it was just, I was learning the skills and getting good at them. The thing is, this is what most people do in our business. And this is where I want us to the kind of the climax of this conversation is, how much of this stuff are we learning? Are we putting into action? If this information on these calls leads to knowledge, you really become just a fool. If your learning leads to action, you become unstoppable. I want your learning here to lead to action. Now, what is the actions that we need to be doing? Okay. How many of you guys have somebody that you know that you need to follow up with, that you've been thinking about following up with, right? Follow up with them. Follow up with them. All right. So call them. I'm scared. I know it's uncomfortable. Totally get it. I'm afraid. Yep, we all are. Okay. So, but it's moving through that of getting into action. Here's what I found. Most people think about our business all day long. They do the business very little. So today, this isn't doing the business. Doing the business is contacting, inviting, following up, presenting. That's doing the business. This is learning the business, which isn't bad. However, learning the business doesn't make you any money unless you actually do the actions behind the business. Okay. So we think about the business a lot. I have found out that thinking about your business makes you $0. How many of you guys have figured this out? Now, inside here, we don't get paid for time invested. We get paid for results produced. Now, if we're learning in the beginning, the question is how quickly can we implement these actions, right? So I've been, like, a good example. I've been thinking about getting abs for like a solid decade. I have found out that thinking about abs just doesn't, I've been thinking about it all the time. I'm thinking about, every time I see somebody working out, or I'm flipping through Instagram and I see somebody that's in shape, I'm like, abs. Yeah, abs should be good. I should go get abs. I should definitely, like, abs should be good. I mean, I could go to the gym. I can think about it. And the gym, should I go to the gym? Should I go to the Orange Theory classes, or should I go running? Is running really the right way to get abs? Should I just do it at home? I mean, I could do it at home. I could download the app. I mean, you could do the app thing where you got the app and I should do the push-up, but you know what I did? If I did intermittent fasting with the workouts, then it would probably be better. And I would think about it. Oh my God, like, I got my wedding coming up. I'm only going to fit in my tuxedo. That does nothing for abs, right? So zero, nothing. But inside of Seacret, we do this constantly. I should be following up with Sarah. I mean, I know I should follow Sarah. What should I say when I follow up with Sarah? I mean, maybe I should call Trish. Trish maybe would have a good idea of what I should say when I follow up with Sarah. Has it been too long? What if she thinks I'm annoying? What if she thinks I'm trying to figure it out? You know what I got to do? I got to write on my list. You know what I need to do? I need to elevate. Elevate's going to be good. I should probably go to Elevate. We should go. Thinking about our business makes you nothing. But how many of you guys think about it a lot? Like, honestly, like, you think about your business a lot. When you're not doing the business, we think about it a lot. And that is not time invested in your business. It is not. All right. So, but we think it is. We're like, man, I do this business so much. No, you don't. Okay. So what we want to do is move away from going, okay, clock in and clock out. So I want to give you this last little piece here is clock in and clock out. If you could actually measure, okay, and here's what I want you to think about, okay, is clocking in and clocking out. If you had this like a traditional job, if I was working a part-time job, most part-time jobs are 20 hours a week or more, aren't they? That'd be part-time in most jobs, 20 hours a week. So if I was part-time building my business, I was clocked in and clocked out for 20 hours. Okay. I want you to think of it like this way. If the only hours are actual hours where I'm on the clock is when I am contacting a new person, following up with somebody, doing a presentation, how many hours a week are you clocked in? For me, I'm not even clocked in, that much. Now, am I working all day, every day? Yeah, I'm on Zooms, I'm doing trainings, I'm doing presentations. So, but my goal is to do less of these and more presentations where we're introducing people to Seacret. So right now, I want us to start shifting that focus of where I'm spending my time either thinking about the business or learning the business to actually doing the business, because I want you guys to get better at it. But just listening through learned knowledge, which we're having right now, is not going to get you to the top. We got to go apply these things. And applying it means messing it up. So I want you to be willing to be bad long enough to get good at these different skills. Don't stress yourself out, so space repetition, just do it again and again and again and again and practice it. So this week, here's your number one task. Practice your presentation. You're like, I don't even know how to present. I don't care. Practice. Okay. So if I told you to do something you've never done before, like how many of you guys have never gone golfing? How many of you guys have never gone golfing ever? Like you just never hit a golf ball. So, okay, perfect. So Aaron, is that you? Did you raise your hand? Okay. So Aaron, I'm going to pick on you. Never hit a golf ball. All right. So never. So let's say this week I said, we're going to go golfing. Okay. And you're like, okay, we're going to go out there and go golfing. I'm going to give you the golf clubs. And you might say to me, I don't know how to hit a golf ball. And I was like, I don't care. Just try. Just attempt. That's all I want you to do. I just want you to attempt. Now, you grab the golf ball. You don't know how to stand. You don't even know if you're holding it right. Okay. That beginning process of it. And then you smack that ball. Right. And chances are you probably missed the first time like I did. And you miss. Now, are we going to sit there and cry and talk about how terrible of a golfer you are? No. We're not going to do that, right? We're not going to stress out and break the club over underneath our knees and going, that's it, golfing's a scam. You know what I mean? We're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to grab the club and we're going to attempt again. That's what we're going to do. We're going to attempt again. And then what are we going to do? Attempt again. Now, we give ourselves patience and time when we're learning usually a new sport. To be bad in the beginning, there isn't an expectation that we're going to be great when we start. We give ourselves that runway. We give ourselves that space, right? And I want you to give yourselves the same space and the same grace when it comes to building our business of inviting, presenting. You are going to do some invites or make some messages, and you are going to feel like the person who held that golf club the first time and literally whiffed so badly, and you looked around to see if anybody else saw you and how bad it was, right? You're also going to be like me. I remember the beginning, right? You guys have heard the saying, practice makes what?
Perfect.
It's actually not. It's practice makes permanent.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is this. I remember the first time I went to go golfing with a buddy of mine who was a pro golfer. He's like, I want to take you golfing at the driving range. I said, great, let's go. So, and I remember going out there and I just like smacked the ball and I hit it. And I was like, oh my God, did you see how far it went? It went so good. And he was like, yeah, it's over there. And I was like, no, it's not. He was like, yeah, it's way over there. Right. So I'm like, smack it again. Whoop, smack it again. Whoop, smack it again. Whoop. If I practice that shot, do I get perfect? Mm-mm. If I do the same shot over and over and over, practice the same shot over and over wrong, I get permanently this way. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. The question is how many of us practice things in our lives that are actually not getting us in the direction we want to go? So what do we need to do? We need to make adjustments. We need to make small adjustments to get it to go straight. So today's conversation, although is very more philosophical, it really boils down to, I want you guys to be so excited about being bad that you're willing to go through the process to get good through spaced repetition. So when I started Seacret, I did 100 demonstrations, 100 living room demonstrations in my first 90 days. Now that's crazy. But I was also replacing a 6-figure income, and I needed to make 6 figures immediately, which is what got me beyond that in my first year. Okay. However, what I knew is I'm going to be bad. I'm going to do it 100 times so I can get good at it. So I want you to, this week, your goal is to practice your presentation. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for progress. I don't care if you practice it on your animals, just have your dogs, see if they're interested, right? So I don't care if you practice on another agent. I don't care if you practice on a hater. I don't care if you practice, but practice your presentation. Just like anything in life that we would practice. This is one of those things. So practice, practice, practice. Spaced repetition is the mother of all skill. Good, good, good. All right. Well, I'm going to be on Social Networking Professionals here in about 20 minutes. We're going to be doing a similar topic if you think this could be valuable for anybody inside of that group. And then you guys got your huddles going on. And I can't wait for you guys to see the updates here this next week coming out of Las Vegas. Have a
Jesse, quick
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Is there a way we can get access to the slides so that, like, if we want to present to somebody, we can have them? Or
Yeah.
no? Yeah.
They're on Synergy's website.
Thank you.
Yep. So teamsynergyagents.com. If you click on the US flag, the PowerPoint's up there. So
Thanks.
you are welcome, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Jesse.